What's up, Laker fans? Welcome into today's show. Before I get into the news and rumors that I've got for you today, I want to make sure that you've subscribed to the channel because, guys, we're only 670 subscribers away from hitting 23,000, and we're getting to 23 for this guy right here. So if you want to help me out and you want to let me know that you already have subscribed, type that 23 in the comment section below. Now let's get into today's video. Now, at the top of the show, we got a pretty interesting discussion that I want to bring up. We all know that the Los Angeles Lakers are the 2020 NBA champions. But according to Pat Riley, he doesn't think that they are really champions. In fact, he thinks they deserve an asterisk next to the title that they beat over his Miami Heat. Now, he also went on to say that it would be a little bit different had the Heat had Bam Adebayo and Goran Dragic. Remember, Bam missed 2 games, really kind of 2.5, and then Dragic missed 4, also kind of 4.5 games there as he played in Game 1 and in Game 6 as well. And here's what Pat Riley had to say about that 2020 title. He said, they beat us fair and square. They were the best team, but there's always going to be an asterisk. There's always going to be that caveat. If we had Bam and Goran was our leading scorer in the playoffs at 100%, it could have gone to 7 games or whatever. Now, look at the 2 guys that the Heat were missing in that finals. Goran Dragic, like he said, he was their leading scorer at 19 points per game and played about 32 minutes per game, barely sat out at all, but only played in 17 because he missed most of the NBA Finals. Bam Adebayo averaged a double-double. He is a defensive animal. Probably would have gotten the assignment on Anthony Davis more often than not had he been healthy the entire time, but Rob Pelinka was quick to say, I don't think so. Pelinka said, I think some have asked, will this championship have an asterisk next to it? I like to say no. I think it's got a gold star. Just because you had to do so much more to get to the end, and I think it was just a testament to our team and the players and our staff coming together in that environment. Now, I lean closer to what Rob Pelinka said than what Pat Riley said because, let's face it, in the NBA, injuries are a part of the game. Yes, it stinks, and yes, it would have been fun to see Dragic and Bam in the finals, but I also don't think it would have mattered. I think the Lakers were going to win that series either way. But if you had to choose, and I have a feeling I know what the answer will be in the comment section, what is this 2020 title actually deserved? Type an A for an asterisk if you agree with Pat Riley, which you're probably a Miami Heat fan in the wrong spot, or type G for a gold star, just like Rob Pelinka said. I personally would be typing my G for a gold star. Now let's go to DJ Augustin of the Orlando Magic. Rumor out there, and this is coming from ESPN, is that the Lakers may look to pursue DJ Augustin with their biannual exception. Now, I talked about Nerlens Noel a couple of weeks ago about them potentially using that biannual exception on him, but now they're saying could be a point guard. They also mentioned Jeff Teague, but I wanted to focus more here on DJ Augustin, who we all know he's an undersized point guard, standing about 5'11", and that might be generous, but he's always been consistent ever since coming out of Texas, whether it was with Charlotte or now with the Orlando Magic as well. Over the past 4 years, you can see his consistency stands true. Hasn't played less than really like 90% of the season at all. I mean, this past year he had a little bit of ups and downs with injuries, but still played in 57 games in a shortened season. Consistently averages about 10 points and 4 assists per game, and he's always been such an efficient three-point shooter. And that's something that I think would really add value to this Lakers team, is to be able to bring in a guard that would come in as a backup, where he's usually played that starting role, but he could come in as a backup point guard and be that offensive, really firepower off the bench that the Lakers don't have at the point guard position. Now, Rondo's coming off the bench. He'll probably be back. Caruso's coming off the bench. He'll obviously be back. Quinn Cook comes off the bench, and Talen Horton-Tucker as well. Caruso, incredible defender. Rajon Rondo, incredible playmaker. And then there's Quinn Cook and Talen Horton-Tucker. Obviously, Avery Bradley's probably going to be your starter. None of these guys can come in and light it up the way that DJ Augustin would be able to for the Los Angeles Lakers, and that's why I think it would work really well in the Lakers' favor if they went out and used an exception on a point guard like that. So what do you think? Would you sign DJ Augustin for that biannual exception? Type Y for yes, type your N for no. I like the idea of signing DJ Augustin. I think I would say I'd use the MLE, maybe not the biannual, or excuse me, I'd use the biannual and not the MLE, and I would definitely lean heavily towards saying yes if they were to sign him to a veteran's minimum contract. I think it also depends on what they do in the draft, but we'll talk about the draft here more in just a minute. Before we get there, want to tell you about our friends over at BetUS, hooking you Laker fans up with an awesome deal for a limited time only. When you go to chatsports.com/Lakers and then use that promo code that you see on screen, Lakers125, you get a 125% deposit bonus, whether you want to bet on next year's MVP or next year's finals, or you want to bet on some college football, NFL football, whatever it may be. Go to BetUS. That link is going to be in the comments and in the description. That 125% deposit bonus, that means you put $100 down with BetUS. They're going to give you $125 to play with for free. So go check them out with our friends at BetUS. I told you we'd talk about the draft. Let's do it now. The latest guy projected to go to the Lakers is Jahmi'us Ramsey out of Texas Tech. So I want to tell you a little bit about him because this is a kid that I really, really like, and I think he's climbing up my draft board as well. One of the best scorers in the draft, one of the best pure shooters in the draft as well, although he doesn't take great shots. That's the only reason I think he'll fall a little bit low, maybe to the end of the first round like he's projected here. And in his one season at Tech, 15 points per game and 43% from three, was extremely efficient from beyond the arc. He doesn't finish very well, and he gets beat a lot in one-on-one defensive stances, but as an offensive guy that would come off your bench, you'd be able to develop him. I think he'd be a really good fit for this Lakers team in the draft. Now, if they do end up going with a wing like Jahmi'us Ramsey, there's some other options as well, although I've projected them consistently to take a point guard, and I still think that will be the case, which is why I said maybe don't sign DJ Augustin. But if they don't sign a point, or if they don't draft a point guard and they want to go with a wing, I think a guy like Jaden McDaniels. McDaniels, one guy that is probably going to go a little bit higher than where the Lakers are picking, but if he falls there, you cannot pass up on him. Leandro Bolmaro is one of the better international players coming out of this draft. Tyler Bay is a guy that can play the small forward or the power forward position. Then you got the hybrids guard/forward, Jahmi'us Ramsey and Elijah Hughes, two guys that I could see the Lakers going with if they like that wing position in the draft. Now, those are some of the wings. I've talked about a lot of point guards on this show. I've talked about Nico Mannion, Cassius Winston, Trey Jones. But who do you want the Lakers to draft in 2020? Let me know in the comment section. Give me your best projection and who you think would be the best fit for this Lakers team in the 2020 NBA draft. I like the idea of bringing on a Jahmi'us Ramsey. Let's get into some more newsy stuff about the current Lakers. Avery Bradley, he's expected to opt into his $5 million player option, which is a huge win for the Lakers as he started most of the games that he played in. They really missed him in the bubble, but he should be back next year, and I do expect him to start again next season. Same with JaVale McGee, also has a player option, a little bit less than Avery Bradley at $4.2 million. And again, another guy that started consistently throughout the year, although he didn't play as much in the playoffs as many would have expected, but that's just kind of how playoff basketball works with the big men nowadays. And you see, you get these guys back next year for $4 million and $5 million. I think that's a bargain for JaVale McGee. I think it's probably reasonably priced for Avery Bradley. Both guys don't wow you with their numbers, but their efficiency is really what helps you. And on the defensive end, JaVale McGee as a rim protector and Avery Bradley as your best option to guard opposing point guards. And I do expect both of them to be back in the starting five next year. I don't think this team is going to undergo a ton of offseason changes, assuming Anthony Davis is back. And now we're pretty certain they're going to get Avery Bradley and JaVale McGee back as well. I think the only difference you could see, only shakeup you could see in that starting five is probably with Danny Green if they look to unload his contract via trade, or maybe they do try to upgrade at the point guard position at some point and Bradley gets moved more to a bench role or even a two-guard role as well. But what I want you guys to do, and you've made it all the way to the end of the video, and believe it or not, there's people that turn the video off a little bit early. So if you're not one of those people and you are seeing this part of the video, I want you to project what the starting five is going to be for the Lakers next season. Go point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. Get as crazy as you want, or play it safe and do what I just had on screen. But let me know in the comment section, what will next year's starting five look like in Los Angeles?